Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining me tonight. I'm going to share with you how our group is working with our client to plant the seeds towards a green economy in Via Fundacion. So this is just a high-level overview of what we're going to be discussing tonight. And now, to provide some context on where this project is taking place, Via Fundacion is a small town on the southern coast of the Dominican Republic. It's home to about 9,600 residents. It has a strong culture built around community, shared resources, shared success. It has an economy that focuses on small business and agriculture, as well as remittances. And this is not Via Fundacion's first attempt or success in investing in sustainable development. They are very successful in their cooperative models that they have there, that are centered around different community members coming together and sharing their resources, sharing their expertise in building these successful businesses, as well as this waste management facility that was developed in town by a company called Dio Sostenible in partnership with some stakeholders in the town. At this waste management facility, they take agricultural waste and they develop organic fertilizer that can then be cycled back into the agriculture industry in the town. So our main client and collaborator in this effort is the Pro-Development Association of Via Fundacion. They are a nonprofit organization who recently celebrated their 50th anniversary, and they have a long legacy of community development in Via Fundacion. They are responsible for park developments, roads, sidewalks. They were a big partner in the waste management facility that I just discussed. Most notably, they are responsible for the building of the first school in Via Fundacion, the local church, and they're very, ingrained in the culture of Via Fundacion. A lot of the efforts in Via Fundacion to develop the community are built through what is called sweat equity by the town. So this is when the community members really come together, dedicate their time, volunteer their expertise, and get together in the construction of these projects. So this is their vision, their long-term vision for what Via Fundacion's economy can look like, a sustainable economy that really encourages new employment opportunities, diversification of industry, as well as clean energy, bringing in some more varied industries that they can bring in new talent, engage their youth, and make a holistic green economy in Via Fundacion. So our task in this project is to begin that process and start planting the seeds, working on what they've already got there, and focusing on their key priorities, which are sustainability, youth retention, and economic development in this town. So specifically, we've been tasked with coming up with a set of project recommendations for the client for what they can choose to pursue and investigate towards the development of a green economy, as well as communication materials that they can use to socialize these recommendations with the community and start to bring stakeholders together around the deployment of these ideas. So now that I've discussed the where, the who, and the what, let's get into the how. So how we decided to come up with our specific set of recommendations. First, we took to the research. We found case studies and publicly available information from communities similar to Via Fundacion in geography and demographics and in culture. They have a very unique culture that I will continue to emphasize throughout this presentation that really is centered around community building. And so looking into cooperative models was an important piece of our research. Then we cast a wide net on different industries and different recommendations that we could explore, and began speaking with experts in the different fields, gaining their expertise to start guiding and honing in on specific recommendations. Then we brought all of those recommendations and ideas to our client, where they started to guide us on things that they were more interested, less interested in, and what was more feasible for the community. We began narrowing in on these three industries. So these industries, agriculture, clean energy, and sustainable tourism, we found in collaboration with our client, had the biggest potential for impact in sustainable development in Via Fundacion. So for agriculture, We chose it because it is already so deeply rooted in Via Fundacion. That industry is well developed, and it created a large opportunity to grow what already exists in a more sustainable way and capitalize on the infrastructure that already is there. For clean energy, this introduced a unique opportunity to develop energy independence and resiliency against blackouts in the area, as well as progressing them towards more carbon emissions. Reductions, definitely not carbon emissions. And then the last industry that we focused on is sustainable tourism. So tourism is a booming economy in the Dominican Republic as a whole. It is starting to pick up in the area, in the region of Beni, where Via Fundacion is located. And they are kind of strategically placed to really be able to capitalize on the growth that is happening in the industry already. And so we chose to look at how they can do that in a sustainable way. So taking a look at a sample of our many recommendations, we came up with about 30 recommendations total. Here we chose to spotlight one from each of those industries that I discussed. And focusing on banana textile production as an example, this is within the agriculture industry, but it's a little bit of a diversification within the industry with the goal of leveraging banana leaves, which would otherwise be an agricultural waste product of banana harvesting, to create textiles that will then which would then be produced into these textiles that could be used in the artisanal doll creation, as well as other textile industries that already exist in Via Fundacion. So in addition to our recommendation list, our set of recommendations that we're providing to our client, we also provided them with this project toolkit. Any project that they choose to pursue, as well as ours, will require capital, one or many of the 5 all located on the left of the slide, and can generate potential benefits, which can be screened against these ones here, which have been identified by the client as particular priorities for them. So I want to walk you through an example of how our toolkit can be used to screen a project. So for the banana leaf production, required capital, financial. This is the standard capital you think of when you think of a huge investment like this. It's the money, the backing to be able to develop out this production. Physical capital. This is in the machines and the infrastructure that would be needed to house this kind of development. Human capital. Human capital is going to be the workforce, a trained workforce that could be dedicated to the production of the banana leaf textiles. Social, while it may seem similar to human capital, is a little bit different because it has a more systemic focus. What systems would the community need to create in terms of community building, in terms of trade schools to support this production? And natural capital, in this case, would be the banana leaves themselves. So it creates a wide range of benefits for the community. We wanted to focus on the top 3 priorities, which our client identified for us, which are going to be economic development in the form of income generation, job creation, and industry diversification. It will increase youth retention. This kind of innovative new way of approaching agriculture industry will appeal to a wide variety of education levels and will require a wide range of education levels, bringing in new talent to the agriculture industry that wasn't previously there. And it will focus on sustainability in the waste circularity, finding new ways to add value to what would otherwise be discarded in the landfill, and resiliency. So our final deliverables for our client are our report and our media toolkit. So our report is broken down into our project recommendations. We came up with a pretty comprehensive list of different recommendations that Via Fundacion could choose to further investigate and pursue, as well as that toolkit that I walked you through. And we also are providing our client with case studies and contacts that they can use and leverage to further explore and develop these recommendations that we have started to investigate for them. And then our media toolkit can be used to socialize and launch a community-wide engagement campaign and start to investigate which recommendations the community is most interested in and most aligned with their values. We wanted to highlight that this is not the final stage for Via Fundacion's green economy. This is only the very first step. So in order to now implement any of the recommendations which we have developed, they will need to launch a community campaign. They can use our media toolkit. It has infographics and posts that they can use on social media. It's going to have a brochure with the summary of all of our recommendations and the work that we've done over the past couple of months to engage the community and start to leverage their opinions and their expertise in picking the next step. Data collection. So a large challenge for us in this process was the lack of site-specific data. We had hoped to be able to go on a trip down to Via Fundacion on a field study to be able to gather local data and to be able to further tailor our recommendations specific to their budget and interest constraints. But we were not able to make that happen. So a lot of our recommendations ended up having to be qualitative as opposed to quantitative, which we had kind of hoped to pursue. So the next step for Via Fundacion after communicating with the community would be to gather all of that data and see which ones are most feasible for them. From there, they can narrow down their projects and start to decide which ones they'd like to pursue. And from there will be a lot of analyses left to do on impact, cost, and quantifying the impacts and the benefits that they would derive from these projects. Potentially, another capstone down the line could help them to implement these. So I wanted to thank everybody for joining us tonight. I wanted to thank my team. They were wonderful to work with. And I wanted to particularly thank our faculty advisor, Fernando Ortiz, whose family is actually from Via Fundacion. And he was extremely helpful in guiding and facilitating our suggestions for them and our work with the client in general. I will open it up for any questions. Well,
hi, thank you for your impactful presentation. I'm very interested to learn more about the banana leaf textile. Mm-hmm. Does the area have existing infrastructure to implement textile manufacturing? And if so, is it scalable? Is the textiles intended to create products for the local area only or to be exported to other industries?
So to address your first question, specific textile manufacturing, no. It's something that they're interested in, and they've expressed to us that it's something that they'd like to investigate further. They were extremely interested in the circularity of it and trying to find different pathways for these, what would be otherwise waste streams. In terms of whether it would just stay in the community or not, I'm going to actually roll back to, this is something that I worked on specifically on the team, the Sustainable Tourism Cooperative. One of the ways that we envisioned this Sustainable Tourism Cooperative working is kind of as a think tank for the town to come up with ways that they can engage in tourism. But one path that's part of our recommendation is that they act as a supplier of goods and services to the existing tourism industry as kind of a short to medium term implementation of sustainable tourism. And having sustainable textiles is one of the ways in which we envisioned them kind of blending all of our recommendations together. So yes, it could be used. They have an artisanal doll cooperative. So that was kind of one of the ways that we saw them taking it. But as a supplier to the larger area of Benin and the tourism existing there, that would also be part of it. Any other questions? Okay. I'm glad you did.